Let's talk about self-defense and how you believe that that can really empower somebody.
So, as I mentioned earlier, I've had the honor and the privilege of working with the Gracie family for many years. A lot of
Mhm.
your audience will recognize the Gracie family. They created Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, they started the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Early days, Hoist Gracie was the first Ultimate Fighter. And they didn't do that to create a competition. They did it because they cared deeply about empowering people through self defense. And they believed that the way that they could sort of demonstrate the effectiveness of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu was to host this huge pay per view contest where people would sort of fight it out
Mhm.
from different styles. What happened through that is the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, Special Forces, police, military, they all adopted Gracie combatives and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu as the sort of core self defense for most of the military and most law enforcement. And the position that I'm in, I train students to go out there and have a better life. I position them to get that amazing job, to move halfway across the world, to do these incredible things. But that also comes with the responsibility. If I position one of my female students to get her dream job in LA or San Diego or New York, but she's raped in the parking garage on the first night coming out of that job, that's just a traumatic experience that will shape the rest of her life and really impede her ability to take advantage of those opportunities that I've worked to create. So I'm a huge advocate of self defense, situational awareness, being realistic, not living life in fear, but developing the ability to know that you can control situations, you can keep yourself safe so that you can go out and live confidently. And this also extends to kids with anti bullying.
Mhm.
You may have heard me say this, Melissa, but when parents ask me, I run some programs for Microsoft for kids, and some of my programs, I'll have thousands of applicants for 20 spots in this camp, very competitive. And parents will say, what do I need to do for my kid to be competitive going to Rice or Stanford or MIT? And they're surprised. My two answers: one is video games. As I mentioned earlier, I think multiplayer online video games are a great way of acculturating kids to teamwork, leadership, resource management, skills that translate to the real world. The second is Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. If you have a kid that lacks the confidence to be weird the way I mentioned that I am, most of my successes in life have been because of two things: I'm weird and I'm confident. And the combination of those two things allows me to sort of embrace and explore new things. I don't really care about what people think, but it's hard to
Mhm.
do that if you're afraid to walk down the hall in school.
And there's even a seminar coming up that where people can learn about self-defense?
Yes, we are going to have a seminar, Women Empowered, Gracie Women Empowered seminar at University of St. Thomas at the beginning of October. That will be primarily for students, faculty, and staff
Mhm.
and people connected. We'll also be doing some community seminars at different martial arts academies, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu
Mhm.
academies around the city. We'll share our social media contact information. As you can tell, I'm super casual, so please feel free at any time to reach out to me. As much as I talk about social media, I don't use it a lot, so I can't say that I'm on Instagram and these platforms a lot, but I'm trying. So I will try to be responsive. So feel free to reach out. The Unmuted podcast, which you see on screen, that's my students' podcast on human trafficking. No Trafficking Zone is the organization that we work through with all of our human trafficking initiatives.
Mhm.
And Dr. Caesar, that's me. Feel free to hit me up on social media, LinkedIn if you're a little more professional, if you wear a suit more often than a t-shirt, and I'm happy to follow up at
Yeah.
any time and see what we can do to bring any of our programs, anything from self-defense, from technology,
Mhm.
education, and even college advising. Melissa, this is something you and I have worked a lot with.
Sure.
But advising students on how do you find your career pathway, um,
Mhm.
and part of that for many students begins with college. So I do a lot of college advising as well.
Mhm. Yeah, you were so helpful and just a jack of all trades, and the last thing in the whole world I would describe you as is weird. Magnificent, I would say, is a better description. But Dr. Wright, thank you for taking time to talk to us today and to walk us through all the stuff that we're doing. And again, how they can reach out to you, find more information, and just parents have those conversations with your kids. Make sure no one's grooming them. It's so easy, and it goes right over their head. They just think someone's showing them special attention, and it's just not the case. You've enlightened our days and our minds, and thank you so much for that.